The ringleader of the ambush at the Prairieland ICE detention facility was sentenced to 100 years in prison.
7 other defendants received sentences ranging from 30 years to 70 years. Fox 4's Lori Brown live at the federal courthouse in Fort Worth with the latest. Lori.
Heather, Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche said in a statement that these sentences make it clear that terrorists who threaten law enforcement as well as federal facilities will face swift justice. This all happened July 4th. Last year, the group of protesters set off fireworks that damaged buildings and vehicles at the ICE detention center in Prairieland. Alvarado Police Lieutenant Thomas Gross responded to the report of vandalism. When he arrived and began issuing commands, Song can be heard on body cam video yelling, "Get to the rifles." Prosecutors say he then shot Officer Gross in the neck. Gross survived and returned to active duty. Prosecutors called the attack an ambush orchestrated by Song. They say that he and other participants are members of the far-left movement known as ANTIFA. Defense attorneys argued there was no ambush and that the event was intended to be a peaceful protest to show support for immigration detainees. The case marks the first federal indictment involving ANTIFA-related domestic terrorism charges. Attorneys for Song and Zachary Evans spoke with us right after the sentencing. They said that they believe politics influenced the length of the sentences. They range from 30 years to 70 years for the 7 co-defendants and 100 years for Benjamin Song.
Mr. Song, aside from this day, has an impeccable life. A former Marine, a good student. He had a lot of good qualities that were just ignored, and the judge went ahead and gave as much as he could.
Judge Pittman said in the trial, which it stands out to me because it's one of the few things I agree with, that the government might just as well have called it I think he said the Methodist Women's League of Weatherford, for all of the impact it had on this trial. So this wasn't about proving that there's an Antifa or that any of these people are in it. It was just, in my opinion, a dog whistle to give certain people in Washington, D.C. what they want to hear.
Acting ICE Director David Venturella said in a statement, the sentences handed down today send an unmistakable message. Attacks on federal officers and facilities will not be tolerated. The men and women of ICE serve with integrity and courage, often in challenging and dangerous environments.
If you've been thinking about getting Pocket, this is your last chance to save 45%. At the tap of a button.
New at 4, 8 people convicted in last year's shooting at an ICE detention center in Alvarado learned their fates today. A federal judge in Fort Worth handed down lengthy sentences. The decision fueled protests.
Sealing evidence in this case. Most defendants got 50 years, and of course, 30 years, and that went to a man who was convicted of.
Inside the courtroom for the hearings, Andrea.
Yeah, the shortest sentence that we saw today was 30 years, and that went to a man who was convicted of concealing evidence in this case. Most defendants got 50 years. Then, of course, you had Benjamin Song, the apparent ringleader of the group, who was sentenced to 100 years in federal prison.
What's the call? Free the law! What's the call? Free the law!
The sentencing hearings were at times emotional. Family members, friends, even a high school history teacher testified to the character of those convicted, and at least 2 of the defendants were visibly crying. Several addressed the court directly, including Benjamin Song. He was convicted for the attempted murder of an Alvarado police lieutenant who he shot in the neck during last year's 4th of July protest over conditions at the Prairieland Immigration Detention Center. Today, he said he acted in fear only after that officer raised his gun at a fleeing unarmed protester. Song's mother repeated his statement at a press conference outside.
I know I am the person being judged, but I also know that a case like this can become a warning to everyone else. If you speak, if you protest, if you try to protect someone, if you are associated with the wrong idea, you can be turned into a symbol instead of treated like a human being.
A federal jury, though, found Song and 7 others present at the protest provided material support to terrorists, in this case Antifa. The defendants have maintained they are not members of any group by that name.